talk about our machine a little bit. On this machine, the Baby Lock Joy, we will start with the top of the machine. We have a bobbin winder here, and when it's in the left position here, it disengages the bobbin, and it also means that the needle can go up and down. When we move the bobbin winder to the right, that disengages the needle and allows the bobbin to wind. We'll go over bobbin winding in a different video. This silver plate here is part of our threading of our machine, which we'll get to, but it's very important to have your thread under that silver plate. We have a thread tension for your bobbin right here. It's very important when you're winding a bobbin. This is your thread tension for your machine. We keep it in the middle, either at 4, 5, or 6, or I think it's 3, 4, or 5 on this machine. It's hard to see in the video, but your machine will most likely have indicators, lines, and/or numbers on how to thread your machine. So this one has them embossed in the machine. There's a 1, 2, 3, and a 4. Then we go along to the dials in the middle. This one on the left is your stitch selector. All of these letters correspond to the stitches over here. The pink lines, which you can see there's a pink line underneath here, corresponds to the stretch stitches if we move this, our stitch length to stretch stitch here. I don't use those stitches very often. I mainly stick with straight stitch and zigzag, which is your A and your B and your C stitches. So on this machine, when you're in A and you have your stitch between the 2 and the 3, which is our standard stitch length, and this is what this dial is for, is length of stitch. And then we have the width at the 5. Normally, the width at the 5 means it's a very wide stitch, but for this machine, it means that the needle is justified center, which is what this little oval at the end means. There's another oval with a dot to the left at the 0, and that stitch is the straight stitch with the B. So if we were to move this dial to the B and then move it to the 0, we would have our needle justified to the left instead of the center. I usually keep my needle in the center on A and my stitch width at the 5. If you have the stitch width at the 5 and you move to the C, that will automatically put you into a zigzag stitch here. So I toggle back between A and C depending on what I'm working on. As we move down the machine, you can see this, all of these indicate the different stitches of the machine and they correspond back to the dials. This is your reverse button. When you're reversing, you press and hold that to make it go in reverse. We have a foot pedal and a cord, a power cord. The power cord plugs in, is connected to the foot pedal, and then there's a plug that connects to the wall. As a side note, the harder you press on the foot pedal, the faster the machine goes. The slower you press on the foot pedal, the slower the machine goes. Back to the left over here, we have the shank, which holds the presser foot. And these presser feet come off by pressing a little black button behind the shank. And the presser foot will come off and you can replace it with a different kind of presser foot if you're doing a zipper or if you're doing a buttonhole. This is a standard zigzag foot, which we use for zigzag and straight stitch. And to get it back on, we just lower the shank using this lever on the side here, this black lever, to pick it up and put it down, but we can just snap it on very easily. This is where our bobbin goes. It's the bobbin case for this machine. It has a little window showing that has stitch guidelines on it, as well as how to thread your bobbin. And then this plate back here also has grooves on it. that indicate how far away the needle is from the edge of the fabric. So those are also considered seam allowance guidelines. And finally, we have this front compartment that can hold all sorts of little goodies. You can put your seam ripper in there or your bobbins or nothing at all.